Alright, what is up YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with my next archetype video. This time, I'll be taking a look at the weather archetype. So weather archetype is a series of monsters that came during the Spirit Warrior set. This is a side set that consists of 3 different archetypes that were brought from the OCG to the T. They were brought into the OCG. Later on, they were brought in the same set to the TCG, but it was pretty much shortened, as it was called just Spirit Warriors. But on the OCG, it's called Deck Building uh, building pack Spirit Warriors. They also got some support in Dark Neostorm, which was a set that followed right after. So, for the most part, with the Weathery archetype, it is an amalgamation of fairy type monsters. Each of these particular monsters are based off of 2 things: a weather phenomenon and the colors of the rainbow. As well, art itself. They have an amalgamation of colors of the rainbow. They each have a weather. They each have a an art instrument, which allows them to use, which they use in terms of using their effects, not effects, but in terms of using their weather phenomenon. And the artwork itself is actually really cool. I actually cannot wait to show you guys this because, fun fact, I am an artist, not a very good one, but I am an artist. And when I did see the artwork of these cards, I thought it was very beautiful how they looked, a lot of the things that they do, and just the overall sense of what these monsters are. So I can't wait to get started, and I hope you guys enjoyed as well. So there's a lot of monsters here, so we're going to be taking a look at each of them, and we're actually going to start off in terms of the color that these monsters are based off. Fun fact: none of these monsters are in the color of red. So sadly enough, even though the boss monster of the archetype has the color red in her artwork, uh, sadly enough, there's no there's no weather monster in the color that represents the color of red. We actually start off with the color orange, and we start off with Weather Painter Sun. So Weather Painter Sun is a level 3 fire attribute fairy type monster, 1600 attack, 400 defense. So the effect that these monsters have is that if they're ever banished by the effects of a weather card, they are special summoned to the field during the during the standby phase. Now, the good thing about these monsters is that they have their own adjacent effects when they are normal special summoned, um, as well. So, for the Weather Painter Sun, when this card is in your graveyard, you can send one face up continuous sell a trap card you control to the graveyard. This is to summon this card in defensive position. And if you do, you can place a weather spell or trap card from your hand face up in your spell or trap card zone. You can only use this effect of the Weather Painter Sun once per turn. Then once a turn, during the standby, you can summon this card if it was banished by the effects of a weather card. So the Weather Painter Sun is based off of the color orange. He has in the artworks of this monster, you do see the sun itself healing with a lot of oranges, yellows, and reds. Now, this monster in particular is based off the weather phenomenon known as the sunlight. Sunlight is pretty much, of course, when the sun itself rises and it sparkles in all of its beautiful colors. And it's a very beautiful phenomenon to see. I mean, everyone's seen a sunny day, and everyone loves a nice sunny day as well. Fun fact: in if you guys are play Pokemon, the move Sunny Day is referred to in Japan as clear sky because Sunny Day itself has the effects of making it of dropping harsh sunlight, but in amalgamation, it's just dropping sun onto the field, boosting fire monsters' attacks up, allowing solar beam to be used without um, waiting a turn for charge period, and reducing water attacks by I believe it's 50% of damage that they're reduced by. So fun fact there. Also to note that the Weather Painter Sun is featured in the artworks of the Weather Sunny Canvas, which you see this monster using its tool, the paintbrush. The paintbrush, of course, is a stick-like tool with fibers on the end of it that allows you to dip it into paint and paint with such, which the weather painter's son is doing himself. Next up is the color yellow, and this is reflected in the weather painter thunder. So the weather painter thunder's effect is when it's face up. If you can send a face up continuous spell attack card you control to the graveyard, and you can place one weather spell attack card from your deck face up in your spell attack card zone. You only use this effect of the weather painter thunder once per turn. And once per turn, if this card is during the standby phase, if this card was managed by the effects of a weather card, you can social summon this card from the banished area. Now, the weather painter thunder is an amalgamation of two various weather conditions, which are always simultaneously together. Thunder and lightning. So, thunder and lightning itself is an amalgamation of particles that occur in the sun before it begins to rain. Now, the phenomenon of a thunderstorm is when heat itself begins to pressure, and the pressures itself cause a loud boom. Now, I can only give you the gist of it. And as far as lightning itself goes, which is always accompanied by thunder, lightning itself is an amalgamation of sparks that are created through particles themselves when they um, touch each other, when they interact with each other. The sparks themselves become giant lightning bolts and can strike down to the field. Fun fact, the word thunder is known in Japan as Raijin or Ryo. This is just due to the fact that the god himself, Raijin, is the god of thunder, and that a lot of animes and a lot of praise goes to Raijin, and a lot of the shape that thunder itself is praised for. So this monster, of course, is featured in the artworks of the Weather Thundery canvas, where it is writing its art tool of choice, the crayon, like a giant rocket, and that it is shooting through the skies while thunder and lightning occurs. Now, next up is the weather canvas. Um, if we're going in colors, oh yes, it would be green. So this is the weather canvas Aurora. She is a level 6 dark attribute fairy type monster, 2200 attack, 2000 defense. And her effect reads when this card is normal summon, you can place one weather spell trap card from your hand, deck, or graveyard into your spell trap card zone. When your opponent cannot target weather spell trap cards with card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Also, once a turn during your standby phase, after this card was banished by the effects of a weather card, you can summon it from the banished. So the Weather Painter Aurora is the highest level Weather Painter card in the main deck. She is, oddly enough, the only one who doesn't correspond with her attribute, because I thought she'd be wind, but funny enough, she's not. Cloud is wind and she's dark. She's the highest level of them. She's the highest stated in the main deck in terms of attack and defense. And the crazy thing about this monster is the phenomenon that she's based off of, which I always thought was adorable because she's based off of the Aurora. Now, an Aurora is an amalgamation of light, an amalgamation of colors that you see in the sky. This is akin to the Aurora Borealis, which is known as the Northern Lights, because you normally see them in the Northern Hemisphere, which is also odd enough. But it's like, that's why you can see these in the Southern Hemisphere too. But the Aurora Borealis itself is an amalgamation of lights. It's a beautiful light show created by nature, and you normally see this after snowfalls or when snow falls. Funny enough, we'll get to Weather Painter Snow because she's right after her. And this is an amalgamation of when the two are seen together. Now, in terms of the card itself, you do see this card in the artworks of the Weather Aurora canvas, where she's using her art tool of choice, which is a paint roller, which she's rolling the Aurora lights in the sky. Thought that was really cool. Now, a paint roller, unlike a paint brush, is a stick is a staff like item, and it has a circular cylinder attached to it, and you can roll it in paint and then literally just paint walls with it or paint objects with it. The paint roller itself is, because I want to make this reference now, I'm going to make a lot of Splatoon references. Most of the items here that the weathers use, the weather painter monsters themselves use, you can actually see in Splatoon. Like the paint roller or rollers is actually a pretty good melee weapon, in the fact that it comes in the form of a staff as well, just like paint brushes. Because between the brushes and the rollers, honestly, I think well, I don't like either because I don't use either, but good for close combat, especially considering the fact that you can roll, that you rolling paint or instead of just splashing it on. The whole objective of this monster's color is that she's actually based off the color green, and that her phenomenon is usually a rare occurrence if you ever get the chance to see it. Now, next up is a monster that can correspond with that weather occurrence, and that is the Weather Painter Snow. This level 3 Earth attribute fairy type monster, 0 attack, 2200 defense. When this card is normal summon, you can place one weather spell or trap card from your deck face up in your spell or trap card zone, and you only use this effect of the Weather Painter Snow once a turn. Once a turn, during your standby phase, after this card was banished by an effect of a Weather Painter card, you can special summon this card. Summon this banished card. So the Weather Painter Snow is based off of the phenomenon known as snow. This is when ice crystals in this are put together in the are formed together in the sky, due to the particles in the sky once they water particles in the sky once they hit a certain temperature. I believe freezing temp is 30 below, or no, 30 degrees and below. And I do believe that that the phenomenon itself of snow only occurs once, ice occurs at that time. Then snow itself falling from the sky occurs when it is below, when it's, I think, 10 below, or yeah, when it's 10 degrees or lower, and then below zero in terms of temperature is the occurrence of snow itself. Like I said, I am not a weather reporter, so bear with me. But yeah, that is pretty much my amalgamation of snow itself. Snow, on the other hand, is a beautiful occurrence if you ever get the chance to see it. If you don't get the chance to see it, play enough games that will have snow. Snowfall is beautiful but deadly, just like a lot of things in the world. And you actually can take a look at the card itself, which corresponds with this monster. This is the Weather Snowy Canvas, where you can see the Weather Painter Snow using her art tool of choice, a snow not a snow brush, a an airbrush in her hand. Now the airbrush itself is pretty much just paint into a little tube. You attach it to a little spray gun, and then you can just spray paint, instead of having to use a pen or a pen or a brush or a roller and just splash it on. Now, the ordeal that she's doing in this artwork is that she is literally airbrushing snow, onto a mountainside. And the key thing about the weather painter's snow is her color of choice is blue. Yes, the base of blue, which is funny because I would have switched her with Aurora in terms of attribute, made her either darker water, and then made snow, yeah, made snow darker water. Because I honestly wouldn't have grasped Earth as it. Like I gotta eliminate her. Yeah, I gotta eliminate her water. Or yeah, it's a weird thing with these attributes. I'm not gonna lie, but hey, whatever fits. So yeah, that's snow. Then we move on to rain. So, weather painter rain. Level 3 water attribute fairy type monster, 1200 attack, 14 defense. When this card is special summon, you can place one weather spell or trap card from your hand face up in your spell or trap card zone. And you only use this effect of weather painter rain once a turn. Then once a turn, if this card is banished during your semi phase, if this card was banished by the effect of a weather painter card, you can special summon it to the field. Now, the weather painter rain, she is based off the phenomenon known as rain, and her color of choice is actually Indigo. Now, indigo is associated with, of course, the gemstone lapis lazuli, which also comes in the form of the color indigo. Now, indigo is a very stretched color because it's the in between purple and blue, where it is a dark enough shade to be called a dark blue, but it's also a light enough shade to where it can also be a resemblance of purple. Now, this is a monster I probably would have gave the classification of dark to, just because of the in between. But everyone associates water with rain, so they made it a water type. Now, in the artworks of her card, the weather painter, the weather raining canvas, you see her taking her art tool of choice, which is the marker pen, and she's literally marking rain wherever she goes. Now, rain itself, it's one of those other things that you say. It's a beautiful thing to watch, but a nasty thing to be in. And the funny thing about a marker is, unlike a pencil or unlike paint, a marker does have its own ink, but is light enough to not be considered paint, but it's not solid enough to be considered like a crayon or a pencil, which in itself is, two of the main bases when it comes to art itself. Now, we move on from the color indigo, we go on to the color violet in the forms of the Weather Painter Cloud. So, Weather Painter Cloud is wind attribute fairy type monster. When another face up weather card you control is sent to the graveyard, you can target up to 2 weather solar trap cards in your graveyard and place them face up on the field. You can settle in your solar trap card zone. You can only use this effect of the Weather Painter Cloud once per turn. If this card during the standby phase, if this card was banished, by the effects of a face-up weather painter card, you can special summon this card that was banished. Now, the thing about the weather painter cloud is she's supposed to be based off of the color indigo. I don't see indigo anywhere unless you want to just give it the pronounce that they colored this monster's clouds in a shade of indigo, because that is a shade of indigo in her artwork. But in the card she's in, which is the weather cloudy canvas, the only thing, quote, violet, I'm sorry, not indigo, violet about her is that the background is a shade of blue. Violet is a shade of purple. This monster contradicts itself in terms of its color. If they did say this was white, it'd be more believable because she looks more white than she does violet. Very much so. Now, I can give you the very basis of a cloud. A cloud is just an amalgamation of particles that you see in the sky when they're formed by the vapors in the air. When water heats up, it becomes vapor, and that vapor itself can hold together as its particles create a cloud. Now, the crazy thing about clouds is that there are so many amalgamations of clouds, but that's due to whatever's in the water or whatever in the air that forms the clouds itself. Because you can also form clouds through air. Air takes the particles within it and it makes a giant cloud, and then those clouds itself can either be conduced to drop rain or snow, depending on how it feels. Or it could just be a variance of wind and you get stuff like a dust cloud or, pollution like clouds, which are toxic clouds. And you don't ever want to whiff in whatever a nasty toxic cloud drops off. Now, in terms of this monster, she uses a fountain pen. A fountain pen, you associate this with cursive, which you can actually see this monster trying to do, doing a lot of cursive writings to form the clouds in the sky. So we move on from the main deck monsters and we go on to the extra deck, and we're looking at the Weather Painter Rainbow. So Rainbow stats is she's a Link 3 light attribute fairy type monster. She points bottom left, bottom right, and bottom. She needs 3 weather monsters for her summon. Your opponent would special summon summon a monster or monsters. Quick effect: you can send, it just link summon monster. You can send this link summon monster to the graveyard, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster or monsters. Then, once a turn during your standby phase, after this card was banished by the effects of a weathered card, you can also summon this card that was banished. So rainbow, of course, is in the weather conditions of a rainbow. So what is a rainbow? Well, a rainbow is an amalgamation of all of colors that are created by light. The light itself is light is reflected off of a clear surface, and then on the other spectrum of it, bam, colors come out of it. That gives you the phenomenon of a rainbow, and a rainbow is an amalgamation of various colors that the prism itself, um, light's prism shines when reflected with lights. Of course, the rainbow itself is made of seven to eight various colors. You can amalgamate any variations of rainbows you want, but for this one, name out uh, red, yellow, red, orange, yellow, green, purple, indigo, and blue. Fun fact about the colors in this: there's no red. There's no red weather painter, and that's such a downside to this. Um, which is sad enough because red is a beautiful color, pink is a beautiful color, and they don't include either of those in terms of the monsters. Now they do include them in terms of the, colors here in Rainbow, and that, the amalgamation of cards here and there. But yeah, this is a missed opportunity. The only card she's included in terms of the spells and traps is the Weather Painter Rainbow Canvas, where all the monsters are featured in on their respective clouds. You see them with their respective um, paint tools. And the fun fact about the Weather Painter Rainbow is that as um, she has easels as her art tool, which are you easels and paint tubes to where you can paint ink and all of that with those 7 colors, with the 8 to 7 colors of the rainbow, whichever one you want to amalgamate it to. For her, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's green, so 8 colors. While in most directions there's 7, but hey, whatever one you choose. So now that we've looked at this monster and we looked at it, let's actually look at the supporting cards, which are all the spells and trap cards. So the weather rainy canvas, weather effect monsters you in the main monster zone. Let this card in this card's column and adjacent columns gain this effect. You can manage this card, then target one spell or trap card your opponent controls. Click effect, return that card to the hand. You only control one weather rainy canvas. Next up is the weather cloudy canvas. The weather effect monsters in the monster zone that this card they share the column with this card or adjacent columns to this card gain the effects. Banish this card, then target one face-up monster on the field except during the damage step. Click effect. Have that monster's current attacking it for the rest of the turn. It can attack directly. You only control one weathery cloudy canvas. Next up is the weathery snowy canvas. Weather effect monsters in the monster zones that in this card's column or adjacent columns gain the following effects. You can manage this card. Quick effect. You can add one weather card from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot add cards from your deck to your hand for the rest of the turn except for drawing them. You can only use one weathery snowy canvas. You can only control one weathery snowy canvas. Next up is the weathery sunny canvas. Weather effect monsters in your main monster zone of this card's column or adjacent columns gain effect. You banish this card, then target one monster your opponent controls. Click effect, tribute that target, and if you do, such as summon one weather monster. Um, summon one weather monster from your hand or graveyard, but not the same name as attributed monster. You can only control one weather sunny canvas. Then we have the weather thundery canvas. Effect monsters that are in the same column as this card or adjacent columns. Starter damage step. This card battles an opponent's monster. You can banish this card and then return your opponent's monster to the hand. You only control one thundery canvas. Um, on the field. Then we have the weathery Aurora canvas. This card's effect reads it's the weather effect monsters in this card's column or their adjacent columns gain the following effect. When exactly one card is added to the player's hand, except during the damage step, you can banish this card, then banish the added card from added card. And if you do, the player draws one card. You can only control one weathery Aurora Elite canvas. Then we have the last card. And this is the weathery rainbow canvas. You only control one rainbow canvas. Uh, the weathery effect monsters in the main monster zone of this card's column or the adjacent column gain the following effects. If your opponent controls a monster, click effect, you can banish this card. So summon one weathering monster with a different name from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon other monsters from the deck for the rest of the turn. So that is pretty much it for all of the weathery cards and all the cards that correspond with the weather archetype. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, of course, when you guys want to be informed of when I do my uploads. Thanks everybody for watching. HCJ signing out. Take care.